There are 2, 3, 4, 4 Vicky Davises that are in the meeting. So if your name is not Vicky Davis, please go to the participant list and click on the name. Your name should be at the top of the list. And you'll see the word more, M-O-R-E. And if you could just put your name over the top of it so we know who's in the room.
Where would I find the participant list?
At the bottom of your, and on the bottom of most screens, it'll say participants.
Or it'll be under more, and then when you click on more, it'll be participants.
Oh, okay. I'm working off an iPad.
Okay. Okay, folks, I think we're going to get started now. It's 7:05. And I want to welcome you to the February 21st, 2024 meeting of NPU-F. And all sorts of messages. I'm Debbie Skopczynski. I'm chair of NPU-F. We are joined tonight by urban planner Steve Aceto, who's substituting for our regular planner, Doug Young. Also here is Kay Stevenson, who is our public safety chair and co-hosting the meeting tonight, helping me enter people into the room. Our zoning co-chairs, I think, have joined us or will join us, Rebecca Faulkner and Jack White, and communications chair, Marla Johnson. Kara Shinara is our secretary, and she's taking minutes tonight. There are 2 agendas. The full agenda, which is the one with the logo for the 50th anniversary of the NPU system on the front. That's our full agenda. We also use a consent agenda, which includes applications which historically this NPU has approved with no discussion. If you are here for an application, please check the full agenda to find your application. Both agendas are now in the chat. You'll be hearing more about the city celebrations in the upcoming months. Zoom publishes a participant list, which includes everyone who is attending the meeting. Your name should be at the top. If there is more than one person using the same device, please include both names on the participant list so that we can get an accurate attendance report. If you called in and are able, please change your phone number on the participant list with your name. You do that by clicking on the word more to the right of your name to find an option to rename. And I think that also includes all of the Vickies. I think most of them have updated. It's just one of the quirks with Zoom that if you share the link, everybody ends up with the same name. All residents of NPU-F may vote on any issues unless there is a financial interest in the application or motion. Property or business owners may not vote on their own applications, but they can vote on everything else. If you're not an NPU-F resident, business owners may vote if they have met the requirements as described in our bylaws. The voting rules are at the bottom of the full agenda in the little box. Please refrain from voting if you do not live in one of these neighborhoods: Lindridge Martin Manor, Piedmont Heights, Morningside, Virginia Highland, Edmond Park, and the Druid Hill streets north of North Decatur in the city of Atlanta. And then obviously, you must have met the requirements of our bylaws for business zones. If you wish to speak, please use the raise your hand icon, which is found under the reaction tab. Speakers will be called on in the order that hands are raised. We have a full agenda tonight so that we can get through all of our voting items at a reasonable hour. Please follow these guidelines. Keep all questions and comments germane to the topic being addressed and respectful of everyone in the meeting. To allow everyone an opportunity to speak, I'm going to ask that you only speak once on a topic unless you are asked for clarification or a question on previous remarks. Please limit your comments to 90 seconds or less unless otherwise instructed. There is also a chat where you can send messages either to everyone or an individual. If I see that comments have become inappropriate, I will turn off the chat for the remainder of the meeting. So that we can all hear and we can get a good recording, it's important that only one person speaks at a time. If we are picking up background noise or if you interrupt or hog the floor, you will be muted. Finally, as a reminder, all votes at the NPU are recommendations to city boards or city council or city administrators. You are encouraged to attend the BZA, ZRB, LRB, and city council to express your opinion there as well. The first order of business is to adopt the agenda. Let me ask, are there any additions to tonight's agenda? Seeing none. Are there any objections to adopting the agenda this evening? If there are, just speak up or raise your hand. Seeing none, the agenda is adopted. For approval of the minutes, we're falling behind on our minutes, so we'll catch up at the next meeting for the last 2 months. Sometimes life gets in the way of the volunteer work for all of us, so apologies for that. I do have a couple of announcements before we hear from the city departmental representatives. First, we will not be discussing Amsterdam Walk this evening. There was an earlier version of the agenda that included those applications in error. The NPU, I just want to make sure that folks know that the NPU will not vote on this project until Virginia Highland and Morningside neighbors have completed their discussions and made a recommendation. That should possibly be next month or the following month in April. A reminder that early voting for the presidential primary started on Monday. The usual early voting locations, including the Ponce de Leon and Buckhead libraries, are available for Fulton County residents. We have some of the highest precinct turnouts in the city, which the county will consider when determining early voting locations. So please go out and vote at those locations so they don't close them to us. A reminder, we're updating the verified resident registration list. If you've not registered as a verified member in the last 12 months, you must re-register. If you can't remember when you registered, go ahead and do it again. Only current verified residents will be able to vote on the upcoming Amsterdam Walk application, which I mentioned earlier should come up in March or April. The best bet is to register early because it does take some time in order to process. We are also looking for a co-secretary and vice chair. We'll talk about that a little later in the meeting. And as a reminder, we'll be voting on the 2024 Community Impact Grant projects at the end of the meeting. We will talk about the ABG Dutch Valley extension at the conclusion of our discussion of all of the voting items. So if you're here for that discussion, it may take us a little while to get there, but we will. Let's start off with reports from city departmental representatives. We'd like to start off with Atlanta Police Department, Zone 2 or Zone 6. I didn't see which one of Lieutenant Campbell.
Lieutenant Carroll, I'm here. How are y'all tonight?
Excuse me?
I said, how are you all tonight?
I'm doing fine. Not sure about anybody else.
Oh, well, that's good.
Also,
So,
Awesome. Thanks. Go ahead, Lieutenant Carroll.
Have y'all heard any? I know it's starting to get warm and stuff. Have y'all noticed anything like any, from the clubs over there around Ansley Mall, or any increased traffic or noises or anything like that?
I don't know if anyone's heard anything or wants to share anything, please raise your hand.
Any concerns or questions or anything?
You're zone 6, right?
Oh, yes, ma'am, I am. She said street racing off of Ansley Mall. I'll make sure that we have morning watch go through there. We have any, what time's it? Okay, I see that. Okay. I'm gonna leave my email address in the chat. If anybody thinks of any questions or anything they'd like to ask later, I'll be glad to answer their email.
Okay, thank you. Is anyone here from zone 2? Zone 2.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, I'm sorry. I had to call in from my phone. I wasn't able to connect on my video, so you can't see me. But Lieutenant Ledoux, Zone 2 Evening Watch, thank you guys for having me again. Just a quick little report out about our crime on the Zone 2 side of y'all's NPU. We're currently down 1% for the year in crime, and we are up 18% in arrests, which is great. And if y'all are on any of our social media accounts, Instagram or Facebook, y'all can see some of these great arrests that our officers do daily. We are currently up in our shoplifting. However, that is one thing that tends to carry our crime in Zone 2 due to all the shopping centers that we have. And we are down right now in theft for motor vehicles for the week. But I still want to stress our clean car campaign to y'all. I know y'all probably hear that when we do have NPUs monthly. Just a reminder, we have seen an uptick in guns being stolen from vehicles. So don't leave anything in your car, but especially please do not leave guns in your car. We just did a little PSA about that on our Facebook as well. And I know some concerns for y'all on the Zone 2 side are our bridges. I just want y'all to know that our crime suppression unit and each watch, we are doing sweeps throughout our shifts to make sure that we don't have anybody, any vagrants under the bridges that might be causing any issues as far as fires or anything else. So we're trying to do sweeps of those as often as we can. But yeah, are there any other concerns that y'all have for us on the Zone 2 side?
If you
Yes,
haven't, Rich Sussman?
Yeah, good evening, Lieutenant Leduc. I know you're the evening watch person, but this morning there was a helicopter hovering over Cheshire Bridge Road around 7:30, 8 o'clock, and I heard that a body was found. Could you enlighten us a little bit about that?
If that is what I am thinking of, I believe that was on CSX along the railroad tracks.
Okay.
So that is something that they are handling. So I do not have an update for you at that time. That's something that ended up on their jurisdiction if it's on the tracks right there. Anybody else?
Anyone else? Any other hands raised? To raise your hands, go under the reactions tab. For most of us, it's at the bottom of the screen. Anyone?
Okay. If y'all don't have anything else for me, I will drop my email, my contact information in the chat. And thank y'all for having me again.
Okay, great. Thank you, Lieutenant. Is there anyone here from Atlanta Fire Rescue? I didn't see everyone that entered the room, so. Okay. APD Code Enforcement.
Yes, this is Senior Officer Burr with the Atlanta Police Department Code Enforcement Section. First and foremost, NPU-F, I'd like to introduce to you a new officer who just recently completed her training. Her name is Yvette Fader. She's also on the line this evening. Officer Fader, are you there, ma'am?
Yes, I am. How is everyone doing tonight?
Officer Fader is also one of the new officers who's also bilingual. So she does speak Spanish. We welcome her aboard. She has completed her training and she is now on the streets serving the citizens of Atlanta in NPU-F. As far as the statistics for this evening is concerned, we're still at 23. 3 of those 23 cases were highly hazardous and been resolved. The other 20 are property maintenance cases. That information has been turned over to the NPU chair to disseminate and share with the members of NPU-F. And with that being said, if there are any questions, we'd be more than happy to try to entertain the same. Your previous officer was Officer Joseph Young. He'll be moving to another NPU assignment. So Officer Fader will now be your new NPU officer for, NPU-F officer. Are there any questions, ladies and gentlemen?
Any questions for APD code enforcement? These are usually housing code enforcements. Kay?
Welcome, Officer Fader. Could we get you to put your contact information in the chat so we can reach out to you if we need to?
Perfect. I will do that now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And Todd Corley?
Hey, Debbie, thank you. My question is really directed to the area of La Vista Road where the vacant fire burnt buildings remain. Are there any measures that are going to be taken from a code enforcement standpoint to try to expedite a resolution to the building that is sitting there vacant and half or mostly burnt down, along with the other establishments that have been since shut down?
Sir, can you give me that street one more time, please?
Yeah, it's the corner of La Vista and Cheshire Bridge Road.
And Officer Bird, this is Officer Young. I'm on here as well. I can give a little bit of insight into that. That was actually the case that you met me out there for, 1155 La Vista Walk, or La Vista Walk, 1155 La Vista. So that has been moved into the civil process. It is not for the condition of the building. It was for an existing rodent infestation. Any further case that we have on the building, they're going to have to answer in court to those violations. I don't have a court date for that yet. I can update you guys, or I will have your new officer update you with that next month. I'll give her that information, but that's where we are currently.
Okay, I appreciate that. And I think it's more than just that, right? I mean, at this point now, it's more than that single address that's being impacted. And so, like, I mean, are we going to just sit there and let all of these buildings sit empty and vacant and nothing be done about any of them? And we're talking about a previous rodent infestation that occurred before the fire, but I mean, the fire was, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but maybe 3 months ago at this point. I'm just wondering, what's the next step in this process? And it may not be for code enforcement, but I'm just looking to get answers from the leadership within the community.
Well,
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, Bert, go ahead.
Okay. As far as the rodent infestation part of it, as we know, rodents are part of nature, but they are also they also come as a result of the way we upkeep our city streets. In that regards, we need to contact the Fulton County Health Department to help in regards to some of the rodent infestation, but primarily and respectively, the individuals that own properties that the infestation is most prevalent in are the ones that are ultimately responsible for the eradication of those vermin. So we will be reaching out to those individually and then trying to work with the Fulton County collectively to see what we can do to abate the problems.
And then as far as since the building has burnt down and it is right next to condos that are occupied, that is not on our That's not under our purview right now. The fire department did investigate that after the fire. That has been blocked off and blocked from us to be able to get inside. Now, it's still hazardous, but since it is blocked from being accessed, it's not under our purview. I'll try to get some. I'll have your new officer. I'll get her some more information on that. I will see who is over that right now. I know that they're trying to demolish it. I know that was their plans was to demolish the building. I don't think they're trying to rebuild that one section that went down. So I'll see if we can get some information on where they are in that process.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, thank you, Officer Young, for everything that you've done for us. We're sorry to see you move on. Welcome, Officer Fader and Officer Byrd. Thanks for being here tonight.
You're welcome, NPU-F. Y'all have a good evening, please.
Thank
You all
you.
have a good evening. I'm putting my contact information in the chat as we speak, okay?
Okay, great. Thank you so
All right.
much,
You're
Officer Fader.
welcome.
Watershed management.
Hi, everyone. My name is Evan Bennett. I'm an ecology specialist with Department of Watershed Management. Miss Debbie told me that you guys don't have a permanent ambassador from Watershed. I'm just kind of filling in. I've got a couple of announcements to make for you. So as part of the Clean Water Atlanta Consent Decree Program, Department of Watershed Management contractors are performing Sewer Group 4, abbreviated SG4, small diameter rehabilitation. This work is being done to improve City of Atlanta's sewer system within your community. SG4 Contract A is the renewal and rehabilitation of selected portions of the City of Atlanta sewer collection system as designated by the engineer throughout the course of the initial CCTV scoping. CCTV sewer inspection refers to the process of using a camera to see inside pipelines, sewer lines, or drains. CCTV cameras allow professionals to see the root causes of sewer issues without needing to conduct more invasive methods like digging or removing walls or flooring to gain access to plumbing. CCTV investigative work began in October 2022 and it continues as needed with weather permitting. Operational hours for the crew members are Monday through Friday, 9 a to 4 p, unless extended working hours are approved. The cured in place pipe, CIPP abbreviation, work began December 2022. Additional methods of construction work such as pipe bursting and open cut are now being performed starting in 2023 and continuing this year. Due to the nature of the construction work that is being done to repair and rehabilitate sections of the sewer line, temporary lane closures and road closures are involved. Additional notification will be given prior to the closures and construction work beginning. Traffic control measures are in place to guide motorists around work zones. Residents residing in or near work zones continue to have access to their homes, businesses, schools, and places of worship. They're all still accessible. Alternative parking will be needed for vehicles usually parked on the street. And residences, businesses, schools, and places of worship will still be available for accessible for mail and package delivery, emergency services, and trash pickup. It's just going to be doing some work, and like I said, we'll give you more notice when we're getting closer to your areas. And let's see. Okay, so we also have a notice about the water supply program. We're working to secure Atlanta's water future. The water supply program, which was formerly known as the Bellwood Quarry, is now a drinking water reservoir and is a restricted site. Recreational activities such as swimming, scuba diving, kayaking, canoeing, they're all prohibited due to the potential contamination of the water supply. There are also massive pumps in the 2.4 billion gallons of water. When activated, The force of the pumps can drag a person underneath the water and pull them into the pumping manifold, causing serious injury or death. Additionally, the West Side Park is an active construction site, and anyone trespassing the park or the reservoir will be in violation of federal laws and will be arrested. That's the what I was given to go over. If anyone has any questions, I'll put some public information officers for the sewer group 4 rehabilitation. I'll put some public information officers contact information in the chat. And then the last thing to mention is I actually personally oversee the Adopt a Drain program for the city of Atlanta with my colleague Rob Thompson. We would love to get some more volunteers, some more adopters. The Adopt a Drain program is, it's very low commitment. You basically pick a storm, catch basin, storm drain, and say, hey, I will commit to cleaning this out just a couple of times a year. If you notice, you drive by and it's like, oh man, there's a lot of leaves. You go in and just kind of rake it out, and don't have to try to get into the storm drain, obviously. But we would really appreciate if anyone would be interested in volunteering with that. You get a cool yard sign and all the materials that you'll need to clean it out. And I will link to that in the chat as well. That's all I've got. Anyone have any questions?
If anyone has any questions for Evan, please raise your hand. If you're on the phone, that would be *9.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for having me.
Thank you. If you find a permanent ambassador for us, let me know.
Will do. Thanks.
Okay. Officer Francis, I almost missed you.
Good night, everyone. This is Pete Francis, DPW Suite. Your spring season is coming up, and what I've noticed is that a lot of these homeless people are dishing all of those debris that they use during the very cold period. So there's an uptick of these debris all over the city. If you happen to come across any of these debris, please call through to ATL 311 so that we can be on top of things in getting rid of these debris from off the street. Just a reminder, I know residents usually do some cleaning out during this period. Please ensure that you schedule your bulk collection before you set your debris at the curb. We want to go or continue into 2024 by having a very clean city. So please help us to continue to strive for excellence in getting those debris off the street. That's it for me. Any questions?
Okay. Please raise your hand if you have any questions. Okay, I don't see any hands raised. Officer Francis, thanks for being here tonight. And we'll end with ATL 311, Cheyenne.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, my name is Cheyenne Forbes, and I'm your 301 ambassador. If you need to report any non-emergency issues like potholes, water main breaks, missed trash, code violations, or challenges with city services, 311 offers 5 pathways to resolution. Excuse me. You can either dial 311 on your phone Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can email us at atl311@atlantaga.gov. You can set up an account at atl311.com. You can download the 311 mobile app and chat with our virtual assistant, or you can contact us through social media as well. Our contact information, as well as a survey link, has been placed in the chat. I'm here today to answer any questions about 311 services, document any cases requiring escalation, and to have someone follow up with you directly. I will ask that those who are able to use the chat to utilize the chat at this time for questions. And for those who can't, I will open up the floor now with my remaining time on the agenda to assist. And as always, thank you for allowing me to present.
You're welcome. Okay, I don't see anything. Cheyenne, thank you so much for being here. Are there any other representatives from the city?
Debbie, this is Clyde from the Ombudsman Office.
Oh, I'm sorry, Clyde, go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. Good evening, everyone. I just have a quick one for NPU-F. I currently work with Dr. Jody Meredy. Our initiative for this evening and the next couple of weeks, we're putting out a survey to hear the voices of the neighborhoods. So I put my information in the chat plus a link to that survey. The survey is basically for the chairs of the neighborhood association. This is a prime opportunity to let Jody and I know what is going on or what is not going on in your neighborhood. It only takes about 5 minutes to do. We will tally up the information and we'll get it up to the executive bodies so that they can look at. We try to be the voice for you guys. So let your voices be heard. That's all I have. And again, the survey is basically only for neighborhood chairpersons to complete. Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Clyde, why don't you send me the link and I'll send it out to our neighborhood presidents. Not all of them can make the meeting tonight.
That is wonderful, Debbie. I will do that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here. Is there anyone else that represents the city that has a report? Okay, I don't see anyone. Are there any elected officers here or anyone representing an elected official? Okay. Then we are going to move into our matters for voting. The first item for voting is our consent agenda. These are items that the NPU approves, has historically approved with very little discussion or no discussion. They're pretty routine kinds of things. We do have a number of items on the consent agenda. I'm going to go through the list for those of you that don't have access to the consent agenda. The first is a BZA application V23-210 at 926 Drury Street. The applicant seeks a variance to 1, reduce the required rear yard setback from 15 feet to 3 feet, 2, reduce the required west side yard from 7 feet to 3 feet, and 3, exceed the required maximum lot coverage from 50% to 54%. This property is in Virginia Highland. They conducted a site visit. They confirmed that neighbors have been notified, and after discussion with the applicant, this application has received unanimous approval from the planning committee as well as the Virginia Highland Board. Their recommendation is approval. We also have a number of special events on our agenda. 2 of them are deferrals: the Virginia Highland Porch Fest and Rock and Run. That applicant asked us to defer to March. And the Atlanta Out of the Darkness Walk is also to defer to March. And then we have a number of applications that we are recommending support. The first is the Indigenous House Atlanta. This is a Class D event, 2,000 participants. It's a recurring event. This event has occurred for as long as I can remember, in Piedmont Park at the Large Pavilion on May 19th, 2024. The next is Cafe City Festival. It's a Class E event, 1,000 participants. I don't believe this is a new event, but it is new in Piedmont Park. It'll be held at Piedmont Park Large Pavilion, June 1st, 2024. The next is the 17th Annual Atlanta HBCU Alumni Alliance 5K Run Walk. It's a Class D event, 3,500 participants, and it is a recurring event. It'll be held at Piedmont Park in the Meadow, June 29th, 2024. The next is ATL Greenhouse, a Class E event, 700 participants in Piedmont Park at July 13th, 2024. This is also a recurring event. Joining Hearts 37, a Class C event, 1,000 participants. This is another one that's been recurring for many years at the Piedmont Park Greystone and Aquatic Center, July 27th, 2024. The Kaiser Permanente Corporate Run Walk and Roll Class D event, 8,000 participants. It's also a recurring event in Piedmont Park, September 25th, 2024. And the last is the AIDS Walk Atlanta and Music Festival, Class D, 3,000 participants. It's a recurring event in Piedmont Park, Meadow and Charles Allen Gate, September 28th, 2024. All of those special events, the recommendation is to support them. Now let me check in with you all. Are the event organizers present for Indigenous House? Daryl, I'm sorry, John Dennis, are you here? Okay. Queen Brown, I know that you're present. I saw you. Aaron Thompson, the Atlanta HBCU. Yes.
Hi.
Hi, Aaron. Thank you for being here tonight.
Of
Daryl
course.
Terry, Atlanta Greenhouse. Daryl, okay, I see your name on the list. Jerry Henderson, Joining Hearts. Jerry Henderson. Jonathan Juba. Kaiser.
Very good. Henderson's there.
Jonathan Juba.
Great, thank you. For those of you that have your cameras off, can you also just flip your cameras on for a moment so we can see your friendly faces? Hey, Jerry Henderson, I see you there. Okay, thank you. Aaron, I see you. Okay. And then the AIDS Walk, Susan Ferrero.
Hello. Thanks for
Okay,
having us.
hey, Susan. Okay, the only person I didn't see was John Dennis. Last call for John Dennis. Okay. So with the consent agenda, we need to remove the applications when the event organizer is not present. So we will take that off the consent agenda and we'll deal with it when we get to it in the regular program. Is there anyone here who wants to have an application removed from the consent agenda other than Indigenous House? You can go ahead and speak up if you want anything removed. Is there an applicant here who wants to have their application discussed at this meeting? Okay, speak up. Is there anyone here who is an excuse me?
Yes, it's Brad Lewis with Juneteenth Atlanta Parade and Music Festival.
Okay, you are later on the agenda, Brad.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone here who is in opposition to any of these recommendations, including the BZA application? Okay, I don't see or hear anyone. So let me ask for a motion to recommend approval of the consent agenda after removing the Indigenous House.
So moved.
Thank you,
That's
Kay.
Kay.
And is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Rich. Okay. Everybody understand what we're voting for? We have one BZA application and several special events, two of which are deferred to March. We've removed Indigenous House. Okay, now we're going to make sure everybody knows where the raise your hand function is on this. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. You find the raise your hand icon under the reactions tab, which for most people will be under the reactions tab. And make sure you click on raise your hand and not The clapping or the thumbs up? They all kind of look alike. If you live in the NPU and have not verified your residency, it's okay for you to vote. We're not checking verified members, so feel free to vote if you want. Okay, there's one person, okay, that one went away. That is got their hands clapped. Oops. Okay. Those icons disappear. So if you have accidentally clicked on clap your hands, you won't be counted. It's another weird thing with Zoom. Alrighty, I see 20 eyes. Is there anyone opposed? Well, let me lower your hands. I can clear everybody. Okay. Is there anyone opposed to approving these applications? Alrighty, I don't see any hands raised. So by a vote of 20 ayes and 0 nays, the consent agenda is approved. If your application is on the consent agenda, with the exception of Indigenous house, your application has been approved. You don't need to stay at the NPU meeting any longer unless you want to sit in and hear the rest of our discussion. But thank you for being here tonight. Okay. Now we're going to go to the other applications that are on the agenda, starting with the alcohol license application. The first is the Terra Theater. This is a restaurant. This is a movie theater. The agent is Christopher Escobar. The request is for a restaurant to serve beer and wine. Chris Escobar, are you with us? Chris, I see you.
I think he's muted.
Yeah, I think so too.
Chris, unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm not muted on this end. You don't hear me?
Yes, now we can. Go ahead. You want to tell us about your plans for serving alcohol at the Terra Theater?
Yep. So as many of you might know, we reopened the Terra Theater last May, and we're hoping to resume serving beer and wine as they had there before. There was a little initial confusion with APD where they said we had to be treated as a restaurant, but you know, no worries there. We are not going to be a restaurant. It is still a movie theater. So I think that's maybe just a small error in that, but yeah.
What are your hours of operation?
They vary week to week. We're open 7 days a week. We're normally opening between 12 and 1 p.m. with our last shows, normally starting between 8 and 9 p.m. So I would say most people are leaving the building between 10 and 11 p.m. daily.
Okay. Are there any questions for the applicant? Lindridge Martin Manor, do you have a report?
We support Mr. Escobar's application.
All righty.
And I'd like to make a motion to that effect.
And I will second his motion.
Rich and Kay. Okay, the motion is to support the alcohol license application at Terra Theater. This is beer and wine. They are not going to be a traditional restaurant, but that's kind of the category APD threw them into. Any questions about the motion? Seeing none, if you're in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Somebody's clapping your hands. You might want to. we're all happy Terra Theater's back too.
Thank you so much. We're happy to be reopened. We appreciate y'all's support.
Thank you. Okay. Numbers going down rather than going up. All right, I see 15 ayes. Let me lower your hands. Let me do that. Oh, everybody lowered them. Someone lowered them for me. All
I
right.
did that, Debbie, sorry.
No, that's okay. I appreciate it. All those, if you're opposed to the application, please raise your hand. I don't see anyone opposed, so by a vote of 15 ayes and 0 nays, the application is supported. And we'll get your paperwork to the city by the end of the week. Thanks, Chris, for being here.
Thank you all so much for having me. Have a great night.
Thank you. The next license is CVS Pharmacy 4747 at 1544 Piedmont Avenue. This is in Ansley Mall. It's a pharmacy with retail package, and this is a change of agent. Is the applicant present? The agent
We are
present?
here. It's Mike Sard from Sard and Life Attorneys, and I'm here with Kevin Welch from CBS. And as you said, it's a straight up change of agent for CBS. Kevin is a relatively new manager for this location when it comes to alcohol. He's been there for around a year or so. And we're just seeking to make him the agent on the license. Nothing is changing as far as operations go at CBS. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay. And Mr. Welch, I see your picture. Do you want to say hello? So we know. Okay. Any questions regarding the CVS at Ansley Mall? You'll only be selling beer and wine, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Piedmont Heights. Is anyone here from Piedmont Heights? I don't know if they made a recommendation or not. Okay, I don't see anyone here. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to support the application.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Rich. Okay, any questions about the motion? This is to support the CVS Pharmacy application for a change of agent. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Y'all found the raise your hand function. Okay, the numbers stopped moving. That's 17 ayes. I'm going to clear the feedback. If you're opposed, please raise your hand. I don't see anyone opposed. By a vote of 17 ayes and 0 nays. The motion to support the CVS Pharmacy change of agent application is approved. And we will also get the paperwork to the city sometime this week.
Thank you.
Did someone have a comment?
Said thank you.
Oh, thanks for being here, Mike. The next application, actually there's 4 applications. Dark Horse Tavern. This is a restaurant change of agent. They actually have 4 licenses that they are applying for: a main license, a upper level license, an additional facility license, and a lower level patio license. This is also a change of agent. Is the applicant present?
Mike Sard is still here for Dark Horse. And I'm here with Brianna Gonzalez, who's the proposed agent.
Okay. And do you want to tell us what your plans are, if anything's changing?
Yeah, so just chiming in, yeah, these are the 4 facilities that have been licensed at Dark Horse since about 2015 or so. And we're basically changing our manager. We are making, you'll see a few operational changes. You'll see some expanded hours for more daytime hours earlier in the week under Brianna's leadership. It was part of the reason that she was brought in to help run the restaurant. She has owned and operated restaurants in the metro Atlanta area previously. Her and her husband own a restaurant in Smyrna. She's operated restaurants in Old Fourth Ward. She's worked previously with the Buckhead Life Restaurant Group. So her ownership felt that she would be a good candidate to help run here at Dark Horse and help get us moving forward. I still have some post-COVID issues that we're moving through. So that's really change, but you know, it's the Dark Horse, tried and true since 1990.
And can you tell us what the new hours will be?
Well, the issue is we're going to expand more. Right now, we're technically, I'd say we are technically compliant with the city's alcohol code about being open 6 days a week. We will still be open 6 days a week, but we'll have more greater visibility earlier in the week. First, initially on Wednesdays, and you'll see that beginning this coming month in March. And then as we proceed, you'll see some more visible hours during the day on Tuesdays and hopefully ultimately to Mondays. We're closed on Sunday.
Okay. Are there any questions for the applicant? Kay, is there anything that you want? Kate, go ahead.
Just a couple quick, maybe only one quick thing. Mike, we talked about the parking, that you didn't actually have 10 spaces on site. If you could ensure that that gets corrected on the application before it hits the LRB, so it doesn't become an issue. And you know, that as we discussed, yeah, you have adequate parking in the lot there across the street. But ensuring that you have the lease and SAP to cover that. I think those were really the only issues that we talked about at the meeting. So I think we're in good shape for this one.
Yeah, we'll make that correction. And as we agreed at the Virginia Highlands meeting last week, I did send the SAP and the old special exception to Jack earlier today.
Okay, great. Then I think we're in good shape to go forward.
Okay, anyone else with any questions? If not, is there a motion?
I move to support the applications. Can we take them all together, or do we need to do them separately?
I think we need to do them separately because I have to fill out separate forms.
Okay.
I would like to second the first motion for recommendation.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I didn't catch your voice.
Clinton Hodges.
Thank you, Clinton. Okay, a motion's been made and seconded to support the first application, which is Dark Horse Tavern main location in the restaurant. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, the number has stopped moving. I see 14 ayes. Okay, if you're opposed, please raise your hand. I don't see any opposition. By a vote of 14 ayes and 0 nays, the first application for the main is approved. Is there a motion for the upper level?
I make a motion to support the application for the upper level.
Okay, is there a second?
Madam Chairperson, Clinton Hodges, I would like to second the motion to approve the second level.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is the upper level of the building. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, I see 15 ayes. I'm clearing the feedback. If you're opposed, please raise your hand. I don't see any opposition. By a vote of 15 ayes and 0 nays, the motion carries. Okay, the next application is for the additional facility.
I'll make a motion to support the application for the additional facility, which is 10 high.
Okay, yeah, Madam Chairperson, I was gonna ask, what was the additional facility?
It's 10 high in the basement. The bar's in the basement.
Well, in that case, I will then like to second that motion.
Okay.
If you can double second that one, then definitely on 10 high.
Okay. Then what's the difference between this one and the lower level patio? Is this an
This one is in the basement and the lower level patio is outdoors patio.
Oh, okay.
And the upper level is also an outdoor patio.
Okay, let's do it again. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, the number stopped moving. That's 15 ayes. I'm going to lower your hands and ask if there's anyone opposed to raise your hand. All righty. I don't see any opposition. By a vote of 15 ayes and 0 nays, the motion carries. The last application is the lower level patio.
I'll make a motion to support the application for change of agent on the lower level patio.
All righty, is there a second?
Keeping with consistency, Madam Chairperson, this is Clint Hodges. I would like to second that motion.
Okay, thank you, Clinton. All righty. All those in favor, please raise your hand. This is the outdoors patio. Okay, I don't see any hands. I don't see the vote changing. That's 15 ayes. Okay, if you're opposed, please raise your hand. Don't see any nays. By a vote of 15 ayes, 0 nays, the motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Sard. Thank you, Brianna Gonzalez. Welcome to the neighborhood.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Okay, we're now going to go to the BZA applications. The first is V2381 at 638 Park Drive Northeast. The applicant seeks a variance to 1, reduce the rear yard setback. In the original application, it was 15 feet to 1 foot. There is a revised referral certificate that's been changed to 5 feet. So the request is now to reduce the rear yard setback from 15 feet to 5 feet. 2, reduce the eastern side yard setback from 7 feet to 2.6 feet. 3, increase the lot coverage from 50% to, and this is a revised number from your agenda, 52.15%. And a special exception to allow active recreation in yard adjacent to the street. Mr. Darmers.
Yes, ma'am. I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Okay. Do you want to give us like a 2-minute summary of what you are planning on?
I'll do better than that. It was in the middle of COVID. I had a son who needed some water therapy. Nothing was open. And so my client, who's on the Zoom with us, they built a deck and put in a hot tub. And obviously, and built a screen to shield it from the street. And obviously it was pretty innocuous and kind of tucked away. And a couple of years later, several years later, somebody said, city, there's a problem. And the city came out and said, stop work. I mean, it had been in use for years. So obviously we filed a variance. First thing we did was talk with all the neighbors. Monty got letters of approval from everybody who was directly adjacent to it. We notified everybody. We met with the zoning committee, who was very helpful. Thank you. Met with them a couple of times, and during the course of that, we worked out some stormwater issues. We modified the application a little bit, so it's, you know, the owner's making some sacrifices here. They're going to have to take out some deck, and they're planting some trees and things like that. Anyway, so we reduced it. We got at the zoning committee meeting, we got unanimous support 5-0. At the Virginia Highlands Board, we got unanimous approval. And now we're here hoping we can get unanimous approval again. That's my story.
Okay, thank you. Is Virginia Highland, do you have a report?
Mark?
Is there anyone here from Virginia
Yes,
Highland?
I'm on the planning committee. I don't know if any of our chairs or co-chairs are present, but we voted to support. We voted to support the variance request.
Okay. Okay. Any questions for the applicant or Virginia Highland? Applicant Virginia Highland. All right. No questions? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion. This is Marla. Motion to approve.
I'll second.
And who is the second?
It's Rebecca.
Rebecca. Oh, thank you. Okay, so the motion is to support, or in at the NPU, we recommend approval, sort of the same thing. Are there any questions on them? Oh, and we're recommending approval of the revised referral certificate, which is requesting less than what the original referral certificate stated. Any questions about the motion or what we're approving? If not, please raise.
I had a question.
Okay, Joe. ahead.
Yes, so this was approved by Virginia Highlands. So did they also approve the revised or the old one?
The revised.
They approved the revised.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, we'll take a vote. Please raise your hand if you're in favor. Okay, I see 17 ayes. I'm going to lower your hands. If you're opposed, please raise your hand. Okay, I don't see any opposed. By a vote of 17 ayes, 0 nays. The motion carries. Ben, we finally did it.
Thank you. I appreciate your patience. And Mark, if you need another orange cat to walk in front of your screen, you can have the one here next to me. Okay. All right. I will see you guys in a month or so with about 10:55 Lanier. Thank you so much. Okay,
Thank you.
take care.
Thank you.
The next application is B24-3, 1438 North Morningside Drive Northeast. The applicant seeks a variance from the zoning ordinance to reduce the east side yard setback from 7 feet to 1 foot. Is the applicant present?
Yes, I am present. Stokely Weinberg here.
Okay, Mr. Weinberg. Do you want to give us a short?
Yes, I'll give you a very brief So we have met with the Morningside, or excuse me, Morningside Lennox Park Zoning Committee on site, and been to the zoning committee Zoom meeting, and then also the Morningside neighborhood meeting, and have full support or unanimous support at all three of those. And thank you again for everyone's time with that. Basically, my client had an active building permit to convert their existing two-car garage to a pool house that they need to provide some more affordable housing for their older son, and also to be able to provide access to their backyard, because they have really steep topography, so they need a bathroom and such for their pool area. And so they were in process of completing the construction, which was approved by the city. And after framing was complete, there was an anonymous complaint. The city came out to investigate, and they realized they should have actually required a variance for the side yard setback. The existing garage is inside the side yard setback, and they're just converting, on top of the existing impervious area, but there still was a variance that should have been required, that the city reviewer missed accidentally. And so that's all we're asking for, is just to be able to continue work on the existing building permit. And open to any questions that anybody has about. We also have a support of the adjacent neighbors as well. So
Morningside, do you have a report?
Yes, so Morningside did recommend approval of this application, and I'll make that my motion.
Okay. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Okay, that was Kay, right? Okay, so just for clarity, is the conversion from the garage to the pool house, are you in exactly the same footprint?
yes, there's no new impervious area, the exact same footprint. There is stairs that are out there, but they're on top of existing impervious gravel. So there will be no new impervious added to the site.
Are the stairs close in the setback or on the other side?
Oh, no, they're on the other side, sorry, outside of the setback, yeah.
Okay. Okay, any questions for, Rich Sussman?
Yes, to the applicant, I noticed it's a one foot setback. It's an existing structure. How are you going to maintain that 1 foot setback? Would you have to go on the other people's property?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's always been a 1 foot setback, for the garage. So, same situation that was required for the garage, the maintenance of the exterior of that structure will be, the same situation that is needed for the pool house. And that neighbor is in full support of the project and has written a letter of support as well.
So you would not, you're confident that if, let's say you have to repaint it or whatever the surface is, or there's damage, you can go on that person's property, he would grant you because 1 foot, you can't really work in 1 foot.
Yeah, no, I completely understand the concern. I mean, look, the garage would have needed to be maintained as well, and it's not changing the situation, from that. But yes, no, that's a valid point for sure.
Any other questions? Okay, we do have a motion that's been properly seconded to recommend approval of this application. If there are no further questions, we can vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, the number stopped. It's 17 ayes. Oops, here we go. I'm going to clear the feedback. If you're opposed, want to vote nay, please raise your hand. Alrighty, I do not see any hands. By a vote of 17 ayes and 0 nays, the motion carries.
Thank you for your time, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you. Next application is V24-4, 1400 Wessington Road. It's in Morningside. The applicant seeks a variance to reduce the front yard setback from the required 35 feet to 22 feet. Is the applicant present?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, hello, Mark.
Hi,
You want to give us a short explanation of what y'all are doing?
certainly. I'm Mark Arnold. I'm the architect for Joe and Alyssa Davis. They have a 1950 ranch on Wessington. It's to the east side of the backside of Morningside Presbyterian Church, and the existing home encroaches into the front yard setback. It's 29 and a half feet. We're going, and instead of 35 feet, we're going straight up on the house. We're adding a front porch, and then we're removing an existing deck and adding a rear porch in a footprint similar to the existing deck, but actually slightly smaller. The variance request is for the front yard encroachment. So it's to reduce it from the required 35 feet to 22 feet to accommodate the front porch. Everything else complies on the sides and the rear, and we're actually decreasing lot coverage from 42% to 37%, and that's because we're making the porch smaller than the rear porch smaller than the existing rear deck. Joe and Alyssa have met with neighbors at 1396, 1397, 1401, 1405, and 1411 Wessington, and have letters from 3 of those and certificate of mailings from 1 or from 2 of them, and also the neighbor at 1381 North Morningside Drive that they back up to. And we received support at both the Morningside Planning Committee and the Morningside Board.
Okay, Morningside, do you have a report?
Yes, Morningside did recommend approval, and I'll make that my motion.
Okay, is there a second to Rebecca's motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Rich. Okay. Any questions for the applicant? All right, seeing none. The motion's been made to recommend approval. It's been properly seconded. All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those in favor. Yeah, I see 16 ayes. Oops, it just went up to 17, sorry. I'm going to lower your hands. And get my cursor there. Okay, if you're opposed, please raise your hand. If you're opposed, please raise your hand. Okay, I don't see any nays. By a vote of 17 ayes and 0 nays, the motion carries.
Okay, thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mark. Next application is V2410 at 1500 North Highland Avenue. The applicant seeks a variance to reduce the required south side yard setback from 7 feet to 3.5 feet. Is the applicant present?
I am.
Okay, great. Do you want to give us just a short explanation of what you're doing, please?
Sure. So I'm converting an existing porch into a room by using the existing footprint. It's exactly what you said, moving it from 7 feet to 3.5 feet. The existing structure encroaches by 3.5 feet and will continue to encroach by 3.5 feet, hence the variance. The work started without a permit or variance, due to absolute, ignorance. Since then, there's been a stop work order and going through kind of the process, the variance process, in order to file for a permit. I've notified the neighbors. I have 5 letters of support from the neighbors, and yeah. If there's anything else you need to know, I'm happy to share.
Okay, Morningside? Rebecca, do you have a report?
Yes, sorry. Yes, so the Morningside zoning committee did recommend approval on this one, and at the board meeting, it was recommended to defer based on information that was presented by neighbors at the meeting. After doing a site visit again, or this a few days ago, and reviewing these issues, the zoning committee does recommend to approve this application.
I'm sorry, say that again.
So we had recommended deferral because we had learned there were neighbors that showed up to the board meeting with some issues regarding this application, but we've looked into them, and those issues actually have to deal with building permits, not a variance, or the variance process. So the zoning committee does recommend approval, and the board has not met again on this, but I'm not sure how we would proceed with that.
Okay. Are there any questions for the applicant? If you have a question, please raise your hand. Or if there are any questions for Morningside? Okay, Clinton Hodges, do you have your hand's raised?
Yeah, just asking, is the plan to enclose like just the top portion or top and bottom portions, both of the porch?
The top and bottom will be closed. The work is not done, so it's not closed yet, but the top and bottom will be closed. That's right.
Okay. Copy that, thanks.
Sure.
So just for clarity, will both sections be considered heated or conditioned?
No, the top part only.
Okay, so how will the bottom be closed, or how will that space be used?
It wouldn't be. It would just be it would be enclosed by some fire rated material with
Okay,
with an opening
would
for a
be
service.
Okay, would it be storage or just
It
visual?
wouldn't be. It would be just access to the bottom of the floor. That's all. It wouldn't. It was just access.
Okay. Charles Cafton?
Yeah, so what's the status of, so you said you didn't apply for a permit, so the work is stopped until you get the actual permit to proceed, is that correct?
That's right. And in order for me to apply for the permit, I need a variance. So I cannot continue the work or go through the permitting process to ensure it conforms to code and all that unless I have a variance in order to go through that process.
Okay, there's nothing else that can actually be done here until we move this variance forward.
Okay, does that answer your question? Charles?
Yes.
It
Yes.
answers your question. Okay, good. I'm going to lower your hand then. Bob Sylvia?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good. Yeah, I live across the street. I'm the person who raised the question. And Debbie, I sent an email to you. This is more for the zoning, not the zoning, but the planning department. What do we do when they build without a permit, without any plans, without any certified builder doing this? The state of Georgia says anything over $2,500, you have to have a licensed contractor do the work. So what is the city going to do if they do get the variance, which it sounds like they're going to get the variance, but they haven't even filed for a permit. So I'm not sure what we're giving them a variance for, because they haven't filed any drawings with the city. So what are we giving them a variance for if we don't have plans? I guess that's my question.
Okay, I'm not a general contractor. Rebecca, did you want to respond, or I can?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that would be an issue with the city between the builder and or the homeowner in the city. Not.
So
I wouldn't know any more than that.
I'm happy to
So-
jump in here as well and answer, if that's helpful.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So I do have drawings of the structure, and I am working with an architect, and I will be submitting an application to the city. There was one concern that was raised around, hey, is it safe, right? And so one thing I've done since the board meeting is have a structural engineer review these plans, as well as come do a site visit of the existing work that's been done, and those have been blessed. I am also like, in order for me to file the permit, I need the variance. It's one of the requirements. So I'm not able to go through that process where they would come back out and inspect and make sure everything conforms to code unless I go through that process. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say on
Yeah, that's correct. The process is when someone goes to apply for a permit, the reviewer will look at it and say, you need a variance for whatever reason, and it could be 100 different reasons for it, and go to the planning department and file your application, or go to that part of the website and file that application. Then once the variance is issued, a letter is sent to the building department that says the variance has been approved, you can proceed. So he doesn't get the permit, can't even apply for the permit until the variance is in place. And that is true for anyone that comes before us. They don't have permits either. One thing I do know is that when you are caught constructing without a permit, then all of your fees for building permits and whatever else is required double. So that's the city's penalty for building without a permit.
That's right.
Then there may be other things, but it's the building department that will do the punishing. Any other questions? Whoops. Bob, I think you're on mute again.
Let's try. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Sounds like an old commercial. Yeah, my question is not, Ferris, I'm sure you're doing the correct thing that you possibly can do. My question goes back to the city planner. What are we supposed to do, or the NPU supposed to do when this stuff comes in front of us, besides doubling their fees for getting something done? This was built with footings that you can't inspect. I just want to know what is he going to have to jump through to get it done? Because one, I wanted to get it done so it's not unsightly anymore, and two, he can use his building. But I also want to make sure that it's not, as he said, he doesn't want to have it unsafe. I don't want to be unsafe either. I don't want to have a fire or the building collapse and somebody get hurt. So how is the city, and again, I know Debbie, you can't answer this, the city planner, I'm hoping can, if they're still on. How do they go back and inspect and make sure that the footings are done, electrical is done, plumbing is done, HVAC is done per code?
Well, once again, a question for the building department. I'm not sure how frequently they inspect, but they'll definitely be out to inspect. The issue in front of us is only whether or not we are comfortable with granting a variance or recommending approval of a variance for the construction. So all the building issues are not part of our purview tonight. If you have those concerns, you could go back to planning, to buildings, and ask them what they would do next. Are there any other questions? Oh, go ahead. Any other questions? Okay, you're good. Any other questions? Okay, if there are no other questions, I don't see any hands raised. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll
Okay,
second the motion.
and that's Kay, right? So
Yeah.
it's Rebecca and Kay. Okay. All right, so a motion's been made, properly seconded, to recommend approval of V2410 at 1500 North Highland Avenue. If you are in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Okay, oh heavens, what happened to my count? Sorry. Okay,
Okay.
I see 15 votes yes and 1 thumbs up. Was that supposed to be a vote? All right, so 15 ayes. Lordy, okay. If you're opposed to the motion to recommend approval of this application, please raise your hand to vote nay. If you're opposed to the application, please raise your hand. Okay, I don't see any hands raised, so by a vote of 15 ayes and 0 nays, the application is approved. Okay,
Thank you for your time.
thank you. And the last BZA application is V2418 1065 Rosedale Drive Northeast. The applicant seeks a variance to 1, reduce the required front yard setback from 35 feet to 33.3 feet. 2, reduce the required west side yard setback from 7 feet to 3 feet. And 3, reduce the required rear yard setback from 7 feet to 3 feet. Is the applicant present?
Hi, Debbie. I'm here, Nina Gentry.
Hello, Nina.
Hello.
Do you want to give us a couple minutes summary of what you're planning to do?
Sure. I'm here representing the Marchok family, and they have a 1-story existing home that encroaches into the front yard setback with a setback of 33.3 feet. They are proposing to add a 2nd story, but not go outside of the existing footprint. But because this is in the front yard, we need a variance to reduce from 35 to 33.3 feet. Additionally, they are proposing to demolish an existing single-story 1-car garage and replace it with a 2-story 2-car garage. The 2nd story will have an office with a bath. It will be accessed at the rear of the building accessory structure by stairs, and it will be requesting a rear yard setback from 7 to 3 and the west side yard setback from 7 to 3. There is an alley at the rear of the house, so there'll be an additional area between the structure and the property across the alley. We did reach out, the owners reached out to personally to 6 of the 9 adjacent property owners, and we've got signatures from them. There were 3 property owners that were not able to reach, and certified letters with the complete plans and application were sent to them. I do not know if there's anyone on this call that is here for this application. I would be happy to share screen for more details or answer any questions.
Okay, and Nina, just for clarity for me, you said that there's an alley behind the property. Is the 3 feet in the alley, or is it 3?
No, it is not. Which is interesting, Debbie. I've seen several in my own NPU. I've seen a few variances where they're not noting the credit for half the alley. So this does not include half the alley. This is actually 3 feet from the property line, but beyond that property line, there's an alley that's 10 to 12 feet.
Okay. Okay, that's the first time I've seen that too.
Yeah, I've been wondering myself.
Alrighty. This is in Virginia Highland.
Yes, ma'am.
Report. Anyone here with the report?
I can speak again on behalf of the planning committee that we recommended to the board to recommend approval, and they voted likewise. That we all voted to support the application.
Okay, great. Any questions for the applicant? Any questions for the applicant? Okay, is there a motion?
I'll
Yeah.
move to support.
Second, to support.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Okay. Motion's been made to support or recommend approval. It's been properly seconded for a V2418. Any questions regarding the application or the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Please raise your hand. Okay. The number's stopping at 14 ayes. Lower them. If you're opposed, please raise your hand. You're voting nay. Okay, I don't see any hands raised. So by a vote of 14 ayes and 0 nays, the motion to recommend approval carries.
Thank you for your time tonight, and thank you to the Virginia Highlands Civic Association and Planning Committee for their time. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Nina, for being here. Okay, so that's the end of the BZA applications. I just have one.
Did we skip Drury Street?
Nope, that was in the consent agenda.
Consent, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
I have one update. We don't have any zoning applications on the agenda, but last month, if you were here, you would recall that we talked about a zoning ordinance for, it was a review and comment that Marcia Overstreet, Councilmember Overstreet, had introduced for small house legislation. We had a fairly robust conversation about it. We were not in support of it. We were told that we would vote on it this month. It actually has been pulled from the agenda. It is being amended, and we may see it back for a vote next month. Apparently, we weren't the only NPU that had concerns. Zoning and Development received a lot of negative feedback regarding it, so it is being amended. And I know there were a number of you that sent emails to Kieta Holmes, who's the Director of Zoning and Development, and I want to thank you for sending those in. Okay. We still have a little bit of voting to do, but not too much. We're going to move into special event applications. The first is the 3rd annual Atlanta Wine and Jazz 2024. This is a gated event for 1,500 participants in Piedmont Park. May 4th, 2024. Is Pharrell Henderson still with us?
I am still here. Still here. And Leslie Dixon should be here as well.
I'm here.
Okay, Leslie, thank you for both of you for being here. Do you just want to give us a 1-minute summary of what your event is?
It's going to be basically a wine and jazz festival that's going to be up on per city code. It is up on the Promenade and Legacy Fountain level. So because we per city code, we have to do this for the Legacy Fountain level. There'll be 1,500 people on that level. It's going to be jazz and wine. They will do tastings and artists playing. We will have APD and private security. The trash will be worked out through staff that works with us and the promoter that will work through our the PPC trash compactors and everything that goes through there. And it should just be a great event. This is the 3rd time they did this event. It's the 2nd time in that space, but the 3rd time in Atlanta.
One of the concerns we have with the vents that are in the promenade at Legacy Fountain is the noise that travels across the park directly to the condos and homes on Dutch Valley. How can you help us with controlling the noise?
Yeah, we are actually working right now with the people who live in that condo complex. We're gonna really work on the direction that we can actually have the sound pointing, so not have it pointing directly at sorry, at that complex. And we actually have a meeting scheduled to meet with them. But in addition to that, we are working with we will get a sound waiver from the city, and because of us being on Legacy Fountain, the additional sound waivers that go. But in addition to that, we're going to try to keep it to just a reasonable sound level, and also just make sure that we're not pointing directly at that complex and not going late at night. Because we know that, people who live there, we don't want, to be, early in the morning, late at night, playing loud music and impacting them.
Yeah, and sound waivers are lovely, but when you're trying to sleep, they're worth nothing.
Yeah, yeah, and that's our big thing of making sure that, that music is not going late, beyond what normally would happen, per city code and everything. So we're gonna make sure that we stay with what goes through city code of, do not go past this time or start before this time.
Okay.
But we are meeting with the people in that specific condo to have conversations with them about events on the promenade in general.
And will you
I saw
a contact?
Oops, sorry.
Someone breaks the rules.
Hello, sorry. Say it again.
You provide a contact with phone number that we can call if there's a little accident and you break the rules?
Yeah, we can work on that, and make that be something that takes place. Because I know for the Legacy Fountain, because this goes through the city, gated park event, that will go through the city, and then on the promenade level that goes through us. But yes, that'll be something that easily you have numbers to call through.
Alrighty, we know where you live.
Yeah. Yes, you do. Because I'm always in the park, so there you go.
Yep. Okay, Charles Captain, you had your hand up and I kept talking. Sorry.
No, that's okay. No, my question was just clarification. You said it's not going to go late. What does that mean, late? I mean, you also mentioned city codes. So what's the limit there?
I just want to point out that the hours of the event are going to be 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. So it's over at 7. So
great, thanks for that.
Hours. Mm-hmm.
And it's just one day, right?
Yeah, just one day.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? Is there a motion?
Move to support.
Thank you, Rich. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Charles. Okay. Instead of taking a vote, let me ask, is there anyone in opposition to supporting this application? If there is, please, Dara, you're opposed to the application? Okay, in that case, we will take a vote. Or Dara, do you have a comment that you want to make? You'll have to unmute yourself.
Sorry about that.
There you go.
I think you can hear me now.
Yes, I can.
Yes, I live on Dutch Valley Road and I'm very familiar with these events that get ordinance or sound ordinance. I forget the terminology of what he actually said, but
Waivers.
there is no, pardon?
It's called waivers, yes.
Waivers, yes, exactly. And there is no one to contact. There are plenty of people that live in my building that work overnights, and it's really super loud. We even have a resident that has checked the noise decimal. Again, I don't really know the specifics, but it's not a good event for the Legacy Fountain unless someone really is accountable for not following the rules.
Right, thank you. I'm going to make a note on the form that's sent back to the city regarding that. And since this is a gated event, I'll check with the city to make sure that we get a contact for you all and for me.
Thank you.
Okay, so there is opposition. Let's put your hand down. Okay, all those in favor of the motion to support, please raise your hands. Okay, I see one X. I'm gonna, if you're opposed, I will ask for you to raise your hand. Let's see, one hand clap. All right, now we've got one hand clap. I'm not sure what these all are. What on earth is that? Okay. I see 10 votes in favor and one X. I'm not sure what the one X is for though. 10 ayes. Okay, I'm going to lower your hands. Right, if you're opposed, please raise your hand. Okay. I see 6 opposed, and that includes 2 Vicky Davises. So before I call the vote, if the participant list is showing you as Vicky Davis and you are not Vicky, can you please change your name in the participant list?
Yeah, David, I'm wondering if Vicky's showing up as a phone and a computer.
No, she passed out her link, which is fine. Because earlier in the meeting we had 6 Vicky Davises. Now we're down to 2. The way you change your name is there's if you run your cursor over the name, you'll see some options. One is says more. If you open that up, there's a option to rename. I can't rename it because I don't know who it is. Okay.
Or maybe put your name in the chat, so at least David knows who you are. Oh, it just changed, I think, maybe.
Yep, it did. Okay. So there's 7 nays, but by a vote of 10 ayes and 7 nays, the motion carries. And I will include Dara's concern and other concerns of the Dutch Valley on the form, and report that. Okay, thank you. The next application is the Juneteenth Atlanta Parade and Music Festival. This is a Class D event, 5,000 participants in Piedmont Park, the large pavilion. Is the applicant present? Bob Johnson? Or someone representing Bob Johnson?
Yes, Brad Lewis, representing Bob Johnson. Bob is on the line as well.
Okay, Brad Lewis. All righty. You want to tell us about your event?
Yeah.
Quickly?
Yeah, Juneteenth Atlanta is a nonprofit organization. We've been having this event for 12 years in the city. We're also one of the instrumental teams that helped the legislation go through for the passing of the holiday for Juneteenth. So we've been really pushing this for the last 12 years to educate people so that they can learn about the history of, Juneteenth, as well as it's really a community event. We're a grassroots organization, and we really service a lot of nonprofit and community organizations through the event. So it may sound like a music festival and a parade, which we do have, but there are a lot of city officials that also speak at the event, as well as people from the county as well. So it's not just a quote unquote music festival, but it's really a community event.
Okay, can you tell us your hours of operation?
Yeah, it's a 3-day event. My apologies. It's a 3-day event, and that's Friday from 12 noon to 10 p.m., Saturday from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., and then Sunday from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Okay. And the Juneteenth holiday, is that on the 19th?
The 19th. Yeah, it's on the 19th.
Will school be in session on Friday?
Well, that's the summertime, so generally people are out in June.
Oh, that's a good point. Are there any questions for the applicant? There is a notation in the chat that in previous years it ran past 10 p.m.
No, not really. I mean, the last 3 years we were at Centennial Olympic Park, and when it was time for us to shut down, we shut down. Now,
Okay.
people remaining in the park, we've done our best over the years to stop vending at like 9:30 to make certain people are ushered out in time. But outside of that, we don't have any major infractions of going over time.
Okay. This is the City of Atlanta event, and one actually positive thing that the Mayor's Office of Special Events does is publish a listing, and this is for the people in the meeting, a listing of the contacts, both the event organizer and the security contact. Every week, I get a report that I pass on to the public safety chairs in Virginia, Highland, and Morningside, so they have that information. Also to their neighborhood watch folks, because usually complaints end up through them as well. And so they have those numbers, they have direct contacts, and they can call and to complain. We also have a contact from the mayor's office if they are not cooperating, that we could contact to deal with whatever issue we have. So they've started doing that in the last year, and I think that has helped a lot. Just knowing that there's someone you could call makes a big difference. Any other questions for the applicant? Alrighty, is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Rich. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And that was Kay. Okay, there's a motion been made to support that's been properly seconded. Is there anyone that is opposed to this application? Okay, I don't see anyone opposed. Are there any objections to reporting this as unanimous consent of the application? Okay, so the motion is approved by unanimous consent. Next application is the 14th Annual Atlanta Ice Cream Festival, Class B. 22,000 participants in Piedmont Park, July 27th, 2024. Kevin James, are you present?
Absolutely, Deb. Good evening. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for being here and sticking with us. Do you want to
Absolutely.
give us a brief rundown on your event?
Sure. 14th year, returning back to Piedmont Park. Of course, my name is Kevin James. I'm actually the founder and director of the Atlanta Ice Cream Festival. And I come before you every year, so some familiar faces on here. But this is the 14th year. Last year we did cancel I'm sorry, Brad, did Brad have a question?
No,
Okay.
my apologies.
Oh.
I was just muting my microphone.
Sure, no problem. Last year we did cancel at the last minute after we were set up, ready to go, because we were impacted by the storms that took place. We made the decision based on safety because a tree or two went down on the other side of the park on Friday evening, and it just didn't make sense. So in the era of keeping everyone safe, we did cancel. But we do have our vendors ready to come back, just about 120 vendors. Ice cream is a focus, but also there's an intentional focus on wellness and of course natural, a lot of fun. Free entry takes place 10th and Charles Allen, right there on the hardscape of Charles Allen Drive inside the park. We use Atlanta's finest, of course, off-duty Atlanta Police Department officers for our safety and Witten Management for cleanup. We take both of those very serious. Move-in takes place on the back side of the park, so Park Drive. They're staged offsite and brought in groups, some on Friday, most on Saturday morning. And we're there from 11 a.m. event time to 6 p.m., completely moved out by typically 8 or 9 p.m. On Saturday.
Okay, great. Any questions? The downside of doing this on Zoom is you can't bring samples.
That is very true. That is very true. And yeah, I was hoping we were back in person, but maybe next year we'll be back in person. We'll bring some popsicles or something like that. Something light.
Yeah, let's. Okay, is there a motion?
I'll move to support.
I'll
Thank
second.
Okay, and Rich? The motion is to support, that's it's been properly seconded. Are there any objections to supporting this application? If none, it is approved with unanimous consent. Thanks, Kevin. We'll see you next year.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Pure Heat Community Festival. Is Melissa Scott here? Or anyone representing Pure Heat? Okay. Any objections to deferring this application? Okay, we will defer it till next month. The last application is Atlanta Pride Festival. This is a Class A event. 305,000 participants. It also includes a number of parades. Is Glenn Paul Friedman here? Is someone
Yes.
representing Atlanta Pride?
Yes, Debbie, thank you. And along, besides myself, also, I'll just let you know, Chris McCain is also on with us, and he is, you can see him. He's our new executive director, starting into his now second festival. So we're very excited. Thank you again for inviting us back. It was great presenting last year. So a little bit earlier this year, as you see, a lot of the events are getting their permits in a lot earlier per the city. So just to give you some information, this will be our 54th year in Piedmont Park for the Atlanta Pride Festival. The dates are October the 11th, the 12th to the 13th, sorry, reading off a sheet, and which is Saturday and Sunday. It is 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., but then all the music stops usually around 9:30. So we're always ending way before the city time. We do set up starting on October the 7th, and then after the event, which ends on the 13th, we are out of the park on the 16th. We are using the same vendors as we have in the past, which is Witten Management for all the recycling, Premier Events, who will handle all of the food vendors and the alcohol permit, as well as the beverage, and Pit Stop for all of the toilets that are in the park, and then Q&A Events, who handles a lot of our logistics. We also want to say, since Debbie brought it up before, that we use returning again after several years. I mean, they've been with several years, is our APD coordinators who are on site, and that's Captain Tommy Azat, as well as Detective Summer Benton. Grady Health System through the EMS, Atlanta Fire as our first responders. We'll also be using Greystone again, which is our command center, which is all of the first responders and city departments will be there. So if there are issues, we are there. We also last year moved a 911 operator there. So if there were any issues, which there were no issues at all last year, but we're making more Greystone into more of a kind of command center. And we're also a part going into our third year with the City of Atlanta's Emergency Preparedness Planning Department, which is part of the mayor's office. And the festival with the vendors, with the market stalls, the same location with 2 stages on the Meadow and then in Oak Hill, and working again with the Parks Department with any issues that with staging. We are also have our parade then on Sunday, same time, same location. The only major change that we'll say is this year at the request of the city and of Atlanta Police Department and Grady and Fire was at Monroe, which is where Park Tavern is, from Monroe to Charles Allen, which is where the park part is. There's no houses, it's where the high school is. That part of that street, it's normally closed on Sunday during the parade, but that we would close it also then on Saturday and Sunday. We may have part of it closed on Friday for load in, and that is more for security. We will also institute a temporary bike lane in the middle so that those who wish to walk or bike will not be hindered in any way. And we're working closely with Atlanta Police Department on that. Outside of that, it's very much the same. We are working closely with Atlanta Police Department, as always, for the neighborhoods to ensure that they put up all of the signs, and that if there are issues with people that should not be parking there, that they take care of that right away. We want to be excellent stewards to the neighborhoods. So if there are issues, we definitely want to address those. And Atlanta Police said that they would help to address for security and trash pickup within the neighborhoods. With that, Chris and I are happy to answer any questions that you may have. And thank you again, Debbie.
Sure. Is there anyone that any questions? Sorry. Any questions? Okay, I don't see any questions. Great job, Glenn. Okay, is there a motion?
I'll move to support.
Second.
Okay, motion by Kay, second by Rich Sussman. Motion's been made to support this, the Atlanta Pride Festival. It's been properly seconded. Are there any objections to supporting this application? Any objections? Seeing none, I'm going to report this, that it was unanimous. Okay, thanks, Glenn. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We have one last event. That's the Indigenous House. They were on the consent agenda and were not present. So are there any objections to deferring Indigenous House? I don't see any, so we will defer it without objections. Okay, those are all the matters of voting, for voting, until we get to the community impact grants. The next items are the matters for review and comment. The only thing on the agenda is actually 4 applications for the Atlanta Botanical Garden, property. There are 4 applications. One is a rezoning request, rezoning the property to R4, which is consistent with the rest of the botanical garden. The second part is a CDP amendment, that's second application, and that is to change the land use designation to private open space. The third application is for a special use permit. In a R4 zoning, it is a permitted use. However, you need a special use permit in order to operate a botanical garden. And the last application is for a special exception to reduce the minimum required parking from 70 parking stalls to 0 parking stalls. Yesterday, there was a call that was sponsored by NPU-E and the project folks. NPU-F neighborhoods were invited to participate, to give us a little more background on what this application is about. Our responsibility tonight is to provide review and comment to any of those 4 applications. So if you have any review or comment or want to make a statement regarding this application, now is the time to do that. Please raise your hand if you'd like to speak, and I will call you in the order that the hands go up. Any comments, review or comments? I really would like to hear from the people that attended the call yesterday. I was on it at the beginning and at the end, but not during probably the most important part. Okay, I see 2 hands raised. The first is Charles Cafton. Go ahead, Charles.
Okay, thank you. It was a very interesting presentation actually yesterday. The presenter spent most of the time and was ready to continue going on for a long time about the details about the actual expansion of the botanical gardens, and but not that much focus on this, shall we say, the knock-on issues that the proposal puts forward. So, but we did get into it a little bit. The first thing that I would like to get clarification on is which of these 4 applications speaks to the plan to block off Westminster and instead build a connector road through Piedmont Commons onto Dutch Valley Road. Again, we weren't presented a very clear map last night, and it's not clear to me which of these 4 does that. So that's sort of just a question of clarification. There's been a lively discussion through, shall we just say, social media today as people become aware that this application is putting forward the idea of blocking off Westminster and instead building this connector road through Piedmont Commons. It's not clear to me why that is at all necessary, why it's cost efficient, and how that serves either people who use Piedmont Commons, the businesses and people who live on Dutch Valley Place and Dutch Valley Road. I think a lot of those people are not even aware that this is the plan. The argument put forward is that there needs to be a service road to service the new facilities at the expansion. But Westminster is the perfect service road. It's already existing and will not require any destruction of Piedmont Commons or building a new road. There's already a road. And in terms of linking the existing garden with the new expanded garden, a very simple, cost-efficient, environmentally friendly solution, and that is to build a pedestrian overpass that would go over Westminster. So, the discussion last night by the ABG folks was more or less, this is the package. It's kind of a take it or leave it as it is. And not even a sense that this is just a proposal and that it is open for review and comment and modification. So that was a little bit disconcerting, the way that it was put forward last evening. But I think there's a very legitimate basis to say that there's no need to build new roads. There's no need to destroy Piedmont Commons. There's no need to increase traffic and noise, et cetera, on Dutch Valley. And just use Westminster and be done with it. The final comment is on the parking amendment or application. As I understand it, the city requires this additional parking, but ABG is asking for this variance, saying that it's not necessary because everybody who's going to use the expansion area is going to come via the Beltline, walking or biking. That's a pretty strong assumption. If it turns out to be wrong and a lot of people do come by car and there are no additional parking spaces, where are those people going to put their cars? So that is another concern as well. But I think the main concern is definitely destroying Piedmont Commons, building a new road when it's not necessary. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let me clarify. You are absolutely right. None of these 4 applications deal with the extension of building the road from Dutch Valley over to the new portion of the gardens. There is a 5th application that needs to be filed. That's the special use permit, or I'm sorry, special SAP, the special administrative permit that needs to be filed. My understanding from what I heard last night is that they haven't quite finished their plans, which are required for the SAP. That application will come to us since it starts in NPU-F and then carries over into NPU-E. So we will have an opportunity to look at it, but I suspect that it's a done deal, as you said. So we will have one more bite at the apple on that application. Mark Campus, you are next up.
Well, thanks, Debbie. Yeah, I concur with Charles's observation that we're looking at the big picture of these zoning things, but the road is as important, or to the local people there, more important than the gardens expanding. And they did focus on their big, beautiful garden, and then they threw together, it looked like a last-minute civil engineering plan for the road. And what I learned and became most concerned about is that there will be no pedestrian or vehicular or drop-offs on Piedmont Road at the top of the new expansion. You have to go around to the old one or to the new one that's on the Beltline. And what people are going to start figuring out is they can drop off on Dutch Valley for rideshare, or park on Dutch Valley. So I own 2 properties in the Dutch Valley area, and I know I have to come for 2 special exceptions for parking because none of those light industrial buildings that have been converted have enough parking. We rely heavily on parallel parking in the road. And that's how we got our exceptions, is showing that no one else uses those but us, because we're our closed neighborhood. Well, now they're going to drive this thing right down the middle of the neighborhood. And I've tried to put in the chat, but I think it didn't complete. Maybe it's got a word limit, but you know, the Botanical Gardens is doing a duplicate maintenance facility on that end. The rerouting the road is going to reroute the Piedmont Park maintenance facility access. You're going to have event trucks. You're going to have people coming to clean the grease trap, check on the cell towers. You're going to have FedEx delivery to the offices, gift shop deliveries. People coming to events, they can't drop off on Piedmont Avenue at the drop off. So they're going to drop off on Dutch Valley. And that way they can avoid parking in the parking deck. That's a disaster for Dutch Valley neighborhood, which is on the verge of developing with all this Beltline activity, becoming a more neighborhood oriented residential neighborhood. And I just think that's a disaster.
Yep,
So that's, you know, that's something that only the people that work where I do. I mean, my office looks out onto this where they're going to extend. So I'm personally affected, but I think it's a fair assumption that everyone in my neighborhood is affected by this. And because Orpheus used to be there, we watched trucks try to navigate those roads. It doesn't work. The radii are too tight. They'll come up Westminster that goes to Monroe, which is a dirt road. I've been trying to get it paved for 10 years. We have had to come out of our office to move cars so that trucks could turn around. If the general public drives down this extension and the gates closed down by the maintenance facility, there's nowhere to turn around. You have to go into the Botanical Gardens to be able to turn around. So it's got to be gated. And of course, it's going to be a service road, which is not pedestrian friendly. So what they've done is they're taking a 10-foot wide walkway that people use constantly. People come from across Monroe, from Monroe Drive, from Dutch Valley, walking their dogs. People park there on weekends and use that. It's a 10-foot wide bike path. And then they're going to give us a 5-foot wide sidewalk next to the road. So they're diminishing the public property. That's it.
Thanks, Mark. Vicki Davis.
Thank you. This is the real Vicki Davis. Sorry for the confusion of sharing the links, but I'm glad so many people got to participate tonight. I would echo what Mark and Charles had said. And I would also just say that I don't think that the designers have given adequate attention to the interface with the neighborhoods on either side of the park. Certainly, you know, I would echo Mark's comments about not having any rideshare drop-offs on Westminster, and closing the road on Minster just doesn't seem to make sense. Intentionally building something that crosses the Beltline, you know, have we come up with an idea to figure out Monroe and 10th to, you know, for the Beltline crossing yet? Because it seems like once you allow crossing the Beltline, it's hard to undo that. And it just seems like they haven't thought these specifics out for our neighborhood, and certainly for those of us who live on Dutch Valley, it's not a comfortable situation. One of the most disturbing things that I think I heard last night was, yes, they had a traffic study, but it was confidential because the donor said they couldn't share it with the community. And, you know, adding this to proposed Amsterdam Walk, you know, it just is a lot for the community to take in. I'm sure many of my neighbors have something to say about it, but I just don't think it's fleshed out enough, and it would be nice to hit pause.
Yeah,
Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Vicki. Real Vicki. Michelle Scholar. You need to take yourself off mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much. I live in the Belvedere condominiums at the end of Dutch Valley, and I just wanted to give you all a little bit of context of the number of residents that this will be affecting. And in this Dutch Valley and Dutch Valley Place, there are 80 condos at the end of Dutch Valley at the Belvedere. There are 20 townhomes that are right at the corner of Dutch Valley Place and Dutch Valley. Of course, dozens of commercial businesses. So, you know, this is really affecting a neighborhood that does exist, and will, having the truck traffic and all of that will totally just decimate our neighborhood and our ability to walk our dogs and ride our bikes into Piedmont Park. And so just wanted to put that out there for everybody.
Great, thank you. David Price.
Yeah, hey everybody. We live super close. We walk that street every day. And the parking situation is absolutely atrocious. We walk by Mark's office every day too, and sure he feels the pain. And you know, there's no plan. Well, I didn't know about a meeting last night, but I didn't see any plan for parking. I wish there was like a big parking deck maybe by the old Orpheus Brewery or something, but until something like that happens, there's just no way that we would support anything. And
also, not to mention the noise, we are very close to that area, and there's so many people that walk right there with dogs and bikes, and everybody coming from Monroe, and we that live nearby, we sometimes rely on the extra parking right there on the street, because most of the houses here barely have enough parking for the residents. So we would be left with absolutely no parking for guests or anything like that. So that is very impactful for us in a very negative way, not to mention the huge amount of noise and how unsafe it would be to even walk like the circle with dogs when trucks are crossing that constantly and kids are running around. You know, I don't.
yeah, it's also part of a school bus route. And if anybody's ever been around there, when the school bus tries to make that turn, it's pretty tight. So I don't know how the big trucks are going to make it.
Okay. Okay, and Marla Johnson.
Thank you. I just wanted to, I guess, put on record to support NPUE's thoughts of deferring again. This was brought up at the meeting yesterday, and I was kind of taken aback that they acted like deferring 1 month was going to derail them when they've been working on this for 7 years. So, and definitely, you know, want to see the deliverables that NPU was asking for, which included, you know, everything we've talked about, specifically the plans for Dutch Valley. And I think that's the gist of what I wanted to say.
Okay. Is there anyone else that wants to speak? Charles, I know that you've had your hand up, but we ask that people only speak once on a topic.
Okay, but I had a question of clarification for you about how something you responded to my comments.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Quickly.
you said that it's a done deal and maybe we'll have another chance to have a say or something, but there's really nothing to be done. So I need clarification on that, because either these proposals are actually put forward for discussion, debate, review, and approval or disapproval, or we're just sort of faking it. So I need to, I mean, which is it? Are these ABG proposals put forward? There's real interest in what the community wants and what's in their interest, what's good for the community, whether this is going to benefit Dutch Valley, whether there's a need to actually build a new road when Westminster is the ideal service road, or what are we doing here? So I was a little bit taken aback by your comment.
Okay. Okay. Let me preface this by saying I'm still a little raw over the public storage facility with ABG. So I will apologize in advance for my cynicism and sarcasm. The city of Atlanta is asking the NPU for their comments on these 4 applications. ABG did not provide any information on this extension from Dutch Valley to the new park. That actually came up as kind of an afterthought. The NPU-E chair heard about it and made me aware of it, that it was coming up, recognizing that none of these applications deal with that. The city of Atlanta is interested in what NPU-F says. ABG probably does not. They probably don't care. I doubt that they even care what NPU-E says. So in some, to some extent, we are moving through the process that the city
Okay,
says.
well, that's very helpful. I would just say, if that's how it is, if that's the reality, and it's good to know the reality, particularly that ABG doesn't care, I think that forces certainly me and anybody who just cannot tolerate this connecting road plan has to vote against all of their applications, even though the expansion of the gardens would be gorgeous. It's a gorgeous plan. It's
Right.
just, there's nothing wrong with it except this nonsense with this road. So I will be forced personally to vote against all of it.
Okay, so there are things that we can do because there is some strength in numbers, and there are a lot of people that are not happy with this plan. I don't disagree with voting against it. We don't really take a vote, but we certainly can share that sentiment in tonight's process. We also can go to the CDP hearing to oppose the new land use designation, to the zoning ZRB to oppose the rezoning application, the BZA to oppose the parking reduction. As public citizens, we do have that privilege and option. And also, since many of those decisions are at the very end finalized by city council, to go to city council, starting with our own council person, and ask them to not approve the application. The SAP is a little different in that that does come to us, will be sent to the neighborhoods for review, and we do have an opportunity to speak at the SAP hearing to go on record to opposition or support of that application. And we also can lobby formally and informally with the planning department and our friends in the Office of Zoning and Development, ensuring that they understand what the concerns are of the neighbors. So it doesn't stop here, but it's not a it's not going to be an easy lift for any of the neighborhoods to get through this.
So there is nobody from the city or Botanical Gardens on this call, correct?
No, and they generally, we don't have any representation from the city to for applications that are review and comment.
Okay, so really the next thing that, actionable items is really the CDP meeting, public hearing on March 6th. Is that really the next step if we want to fight this more?
I think so. Jack, are you still with us? I know you had some recommendations.
I would strongly urge deferring comments on all of this. And let's play through to the next month. There's going to be more information, and I also think we're going to want to not cut off our nose to spite our face. I actually think we get more effective control over the CDB, the land use and the zoning on the area, the small zoning area, by voting for it. But we can talk about that over the next month. I mean, this is very frustrating. Debbie's upset about the storage unit. I'm pissed off about the 85 trees that were cut down in 2005 for the damn garage. But you know, there's a limit to how. At some point, we've got to let it go, and just play the hand we've been dealt. So let's. This is a remarkably amazing deal for a remarkably amazing construction of this project. I mean, I'm stunned, but that's where we're at. And so I would like us to hold our fire and see what the best way to construct our concerns are for next month. And we'll see what E does. They just happen to fall before us. That's the way it goes. And we can listen to their reasoning and go that way. But we're not going to have, this is a group that has significantly immunized themselves from public comment. And that's the best, most infuriatingly accurate way I can think to put them in it. They're quite good at their job, and their job does not include worrying about the likes of us historically. You've never seen, if you met Mr. Captain, you weren't around for the fight about the garden, but at one point there were 470 something yard signs opposing it in Midtown and Virginia Highland, Midtown and Virginia Highland, Morningside of Virginia Highland. It was astonishing output of support, and 19 NPUs voted against it. One voted for it, and they wouldn't let us speak, and the other 4 ducked it. So well, don't kid yourself on some issues where the power lies. It doesn't lie with us. So you may understand why we got kind of interested in trying, like, how much we appreciate the suckers who come in and try to negotiate with us. We appreciate that. Doesn't mean we go along with them, but we appreciate them. Thank you, Debbie. I'm done.
Thanks, Jack. There are a couple of comments in the chat. What's the downside to not recommending approval? Seems like a stronger message than deferring. I would say that if we recommend denial of those 4 applications, we won't get very far because they're all pretty clean recommendations, with the exception of the parking reduction. And I don't believe that we have seen any plans for how they would handle it. NPU-E was requesting information about if they're expecting people to come to the gardens on the beltway. What is their where will they have their entrances? Where are the drop-offs for Lyft and Uber and those kinds of questions? So they did have a number of questions that they're requesting information on before they, in fact, support that application. Marla had a recommendation to defer comment on the application, which I think Jack just supported, but she also suggested that we support NPU-E's request for the deliverables that they have sent to ABG before they make any recommendations. Would there be anyone that would have any objections to making those comments? I don't hear anyone opposed to it. Okay,
So that's a motion to then defer, looking for the other MPU's deliverables to be met.
right. That would be the request. Or that would be the comment that we would send back regarding all 4 of those applications. There's also a question about what the Beltline's position about a new road crossing. I don't know that the Beltline is actually publicly spoken regarding that. I've been watching the website to see when ABG would go in front of the design review committee of the Beltline. It's not showing up yet on the agenda, and I've got to call into the Beltline to see what they know and what their position would be. So the answer is we don't know yet. We're not required to take a vote. That's another question. Review and comment is just that, review and comment. But my question regarding supporting Marla's suggestion is to see if there's any opposition. I'm not going to take a vote for review and comment. Okay, and then there's the question, does the Dutch Valley Connector go through NPUs? ABG last night suggested it does not. Well, ABG just is wrong. And SAP is required to go through the NPUs. We have 21 days for review and comment back. We don't vote on it, but we do have comment. We also, a written comment, we can also provide oral comment at the SAP hearing. That is required of the state as well as the city. It comes to us. All right, any other questions or comments on this? Continue to watch Nextdoor and other social media or your neighborhood's newsletters about where, as things change. We'll do our best to keep you informed. Marla is a queen of communications, so she'll make sure that we all stay in touch.
Except when I don't know about it and I have to, until like an hour before, and then I have to send it out.
Yeah, the good news is that we've got a really good relationship with NPU-E. And Courtney and the Ansley Park and Midtown folks will make sure that we're informed on what they're hearing and doing. That we've been working on that relationship for a couple of years, and I think it's finally paying off. Okay, any final comments? Put your fighting boots on, guys. It's going to be a battle.
Well, mine are on, don't worry.
All righty.
Where are the public hearings on March 7th or 14th that are mentioned on the agenda? Where are those held?
Okay. All right, so the special use permit will be at the zoning review board meeting that's held at City Hall in council chambers. They probably haven't published their agenda yet, so it's one of those dates, March 7th and March 14th. This also, the rezoning, same thing. It is at council chambers, that's the zoning review board. The land use amendment is also at City Hall at 6 p.m. And it's either will be in council chambers or committee room 1. Those agendas, we're not in February. At the beginning of February, those agendas should be published. And so we'll watch for those and let you know if there's any changes, but that's where they're gonna be.
Can both the two associations, Virginia Highlands and MLPA, once that information is known, send it out to all members? Is that possible?
Yeah, or we can publish it from the NPU process. I'm not sure how Virginia Highlands Communications works. I know Morningside's really good about spreading information like that. Same thing with Piedmont Heights. They also border the this property. Clinton, you had your hand up?
Yes, Madam Chairperson. Having like more recently found out this, I was thinking about the Amsterdam walk stuff, but I didn't know about this. Also really not a big fan of the public storage, and I had no idea that someone had started to acquire that. So I'm generally for that idea, but understandably, like there's things to change and things that we're disgruntled with, I guess. What are the things that I can then be focused on, like helping you guys that are things that we would change? Because I would assume is the general use of that space favorable, but it's how they're using, I guess, is our goal, is like the access through Dutch Valley. I'm trying to figure out what are the things to kind of hate on this one. Because like I'm a little bit farther off and I'm not using the extra, but just like for summary for stirring the activists around the world, what are the things to hate and change? If not, like if it's the total use of it, then that's a bigger deal, I guess. But I big not fan of that public storage because I hate it every time I drive by it. I hate that public storage facilities even exist because that means people have too much crap. But could you come give me the skinny like marker someone of like what are the big negatives that could be changed if we would support any reuse of that space?
Okay, I'm not totally following your question. Support the reuse of what?
Well, the development of it. I guess they're like the four BZA and site use and land use, all that is to like replace botanical garden with public storage. If that's not, is that trying to figure out the things we oppose, is the access and the like the use of the roads and the space around it, and is that I was trying to get that like understand that because
Yeah, I mean, I can answer that. I mean, I think no one is opposed to the Botanical Gardens expansion plan, at least basically. It's all the sort of tangential or, sort of peripheral issues that are attached to it, which is, where is everybody going to park? Because they want the variance on the additional parking. Building this road when there's no need to build another road and destroying Piedmont Commons. There's no there's no allowance for any sort of drop off, and other access except via the Belt Line. And so it's going to mean more traffic on Dutch Valley. So everything that has been spoken, if you've been listening, I mean, these are the main issues. I don't think you haven't heard anybody speak against the new beautiful botanical gardens that they have planned. It's all the other stuff that they've attached to it. So if they would just focus on doing the botanical gardens, using Westminster as both as a service road and create some sort of drop off for Uber folks, and building a pedestrian overpass to connect the old and the new gardens, I think everybody would be more or less okay.
just sort of summarize, it's like general good intent, but kind of leveraging the private facility that's like leveraging the public, disrupting the public around it, I guess, to like, not doing their fair share.
I would just say
within the property.
they're attaching unnecessary construction and destruction when it's not required to do what they want to do. I mean,
Okay,
they want to do more than they need to do.
okay.
Yeah, copy
Charles,
that.
I appreciate your help, but I really want to move this meeting along. Jack, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I urge us as you go through this process to remember Lincoln Douglas debate rule number 1. be equally comfortable with the argument that the other side is going to make and understand what argument you would make if you were asked to speak for the other side. Some people believe in this stuff, believe in the garden and do it. So I think they have a real challenge about not closing off Westminster Road. I'm not opining what I think, how I think it ought to be handled, but they're going to argue that, and they're going to argue some disadvantages for it. I can think of some right now. And so that's not to be discussed in this meeting, but as you formulate your arguments, be ready, ask yourself what you would say in reply to that if you're on the other side. And it won't be, we don't give a damn what you guys think. They're way smarter than that. And so it won't be that. So they will come up with planning-based arguments, and let's be ready for that, okay? Because that elevates our ability to make the points we make. And remember that it really doesn't matter. And what Fortner said in his meeting to us that night on January 31st, he went through this review and he showed how the planning department formulates their ideas. The planning department's going to have a lot to say about this. And so we need understand that policy and understand how you might respond to it. Some of these may be reasonable concessions. They have the mayor behind them. They gave them the land, blah, blah, blah. So they're not going to want a road penetrating through it if they can avoid it that allows other entries to other places. Just mull it over. Just be comfortable with their point of view, and it'll improve your arguments against it, is my thought. It doesn't go in there, it doesn't do any good to argue 7 silly arguments and say, well, that's better than 2. No, 0 silly arguments is better, is what we want. Good, serious ones. Captain made a good point. That's just be ready for the reply. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Are there any other hands raised? I can't always see them. Okay, Clinton, your hand is still raised. Okay, it's down. Okay. Okay, y'all comfortable with me ending the conversation there? We'll do our best to keep y'all informed. We'll teach you a little bit about how these decisions are made at the city. Okay. Good deal. Okay, then I'm going to move on to the last voting item for this evening, and that's the 2024 Community Impact Grant project requests. They are also on the back of your consent agenda. Every year, for those of you that are not familiar with this grant, the Department of City Planning offers NPUs a community impact grant. Every year a little bit changes, including the dollar amounts that are available. There are certain criteria for the grant. Among the requirements, it has to be done within the city. It has to be a project forward. We can't reimburse people. And it's it can't be a project that just pays someone to do the work. It really needs to engage the community as part of the project. I've received requests from 4 neighborhoods for a grant. And then we have also added the NPU administrative costs for processing Google Workspace, the domain registration, additional storage, and Facebook boosts. That one is non-negotiable because if we don't get the grant money, then it comes out of pocket. So we want to make sure that that's included. Let me tell you what the projects are. Armand Park, Lindridge Martin Manor is requesting funding to purchase and install native grasses and shrubs in Armand Park and Lindridge Martin Manor. This will continue plantings that began last year in the park. The Linders Martin Manor Board approved this request at its meeting, and their funding request is $1,980. In Piedmont Heights, they are proposing to scape and hardscape maintenance and improvements for Gotham Way Park. That's a park that Piedmont Heights actually owns and maintains, and their request is for $3,000. Friends of Herbert Taylor Park and Daniel Johnson Park in Morningside are requesting funds for beautification and preservation and community building at this unique park in Morningside Lenox Park. The funding will be used to restore the habitat using native species to replace invasive plants removed by volunteers. Their request is $2,500. And the last project is the Smith Park renovation. This is also in Morningside. Smith Park is one of those parks that hasn't had a whole lot of attention lately, and a small group would like to renovate it by revitalizing the landscape and other aesthetic improvements to reestablish a positive first impression, instilling a sense of pride in residents and favorable perceptions by the community and visitors. And their request is for $1,300. The total request for all the projects is $9,222. In the last several years, the average award, and I checked this with planning before the meeting tonight, is about $5,700. NPU-F has been granted higher awards, around $700 or $7,500. The reason why we've been getting higher awards is because we present a very professional looking application. So we kind of sell ourselves, and we've gotten more money for it. I have asked the project managers if they would go back and look at their requests and provide a lower amount, a range, the minimum amount that they would need in order to maintain their project. I haven't gotten any feedback back. Have you all, I know some of you are in the room, have you all thought about what's the minimum amount that would be worth it for you for your projects?
Debbie, I didn't see that yet, but we can go back and make some adjustments. If everybody else does.
Yeah, and you should have an email from me
You had
to all of
indicated
you.
possibility of $10,000. So last month, I think.
Right, that's what they said the maximum amount would be, but I'm real skeptical that that's what they're going to give. We may not qualify for the training bonus of $1,500.
I thought you said we did.
We did, well, we have in previous years, but this year I don't think we do. Because they've got a weird requirement for the training and their record keeping is kind of goofy. So it's a just in case we don't qualify.
Okay, we'll make some adjustments, but if indeed the higher amount is available, we'd be glad to receive the maximum possible.
Yes.
I will get you something less in the next couple of days.
What I was planning to do is to request a range. So let me say from $7,500 to up to $9,222. And if we may get that higher amount, we don't know. But in case we don't, I want you all to be able to say that, yeah, I can live with a percentage less and still do what I plan on doing. I just don't want to end up with a $5,000 award. Nobody can get anything out of it, or we'd have to cancel some of the projects. That just wouldn't be fair.
So basically you have to knock off about 20% or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I hope the other folks will be able to do that too. We all join in the pain.
Yeah. Right. I would not
Except for the
someone-
$400 some odd that is needed for the NPU.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely need that. There is no negotiation on that one.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so one of the things we need to do is to take a vote to approve these projects. Is there any project that is on this list that someone has any questions regarding it? Or can I assume that all 5 projects are acceptable to this body? That's APU speak for it, to the NPU. That was APAB. I don't know what I just said. Okay. I don't hear any objections. I will make a motion to support these 5 projects. Is there?
Second.
Okay, there's a second. And who seconded? I'm sorry, I didn't hear the vote, the name, or the.
Charlie Captain.
Thank you, Charlie. Okay. It has to be a recorded vote, so all those in favor of the motion, please raise your hands. I have to report this in the application. Okay, I see 13 ayes. That's good. Oops. Let me lower the hands. Is there anyone opposed to these 5 applications? Okay, I see 0 nays. So by a vote of 13 ayes and 0 nays, the motion carries. Okay, guys, I will be hounding you for lower budgets, and we do have to complete the application. There's some of you gave me a lot of information, which should be sufficient. A couple of the projects gave me almost nothing, and I'm going to need a whole lot of information to fill in the gaps. The application has to be in by March 1st. So if you get an email from me, would you please make sure that you respond as quickly as possible, so that I'm not up doing this, at midnight on the 29th. Thank you all. That is it for community impact grants. Going back to the agenda, there is no end to this. There's the presentation that's on the agenda from Atlanta Police Foundation. Is Brad Taylor present, or someone from Atlanta Police Foundation present? Doesn't look like it. No presentation. Steve Aceto, you've been very quiet. Do you have a planner's report?
Yes, hi. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Good evening, NPU-F. Yeah, hi. As Debbie mentioned, I'm the substitute tonight for Doug. He's the typical NPU-F planner. So thank you for having me. Yeah. We've got 4 quick announcements from the Department of City Planning. Number 1, last month, we kicked off the 50th anniversary of the NPU system with a proclamation from City Council. In phase 1, we are commemorating the legacy of Maynard Jackson, a previous mayor, and the historic trailblazers of the NPU system. We will continue our celebration all year long, and we hope that you will celebrate with us. Announcement number 2, the Department of City Planning is leading an 18-month planning process to update Plan A, which is Atlanta's comprehensive development plan. This effort will include pop-ups, community workshops, and other events across the city, and you're invited to the in-person kickoff event on February 29th, which is next Thursday, from 5 to 7 p.m. at Greenbrier Mall. At the event, the department will launch an online survey and mapping tool to gather public input And if you are looking for more information about participating in this process, including more information on these events, you can check out atlantaforall.com. Comment number 3. Nominations are now open for the Community Design Awards. You can submit a nomination individually or as an NPU body, and these submissions are due 4 p.m. on Thursday, February 29th. And the 4th comment, you can submit capital improvement project ideas for your neighborhood in the submission portal now through March 8th. And I will put a link in the chat which goes over these updates again, as well as the NPU voting items tracker, which kind of looks at providing updates on the voting items as they progress through the approval process. I know there are a couple questions about the Office of Zoning and Development throughout the meeting. So I actually work in Doug's office, the Office of Design. So I can't comment specifically on any Office of Zoning and Development questions. But if you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And thank you guys for having me. And I'll put those links to that outline those updates, as well as my contact information in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve, the nominations for the Community Design Awards, that's the NPU award. Is the big award also, is the deadline February 29th, and why are we only getting 1 week's notice?
For the Community Design Awards?
Yeah.
I think that may have also been an announcement last month. I could be wrong though.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I'm sorry to hear that this is the first time you guys are hearing about that. I can send that information back to the communications team.
I think I may have to talk to Mr. Young about that, because that makes me very unhappy.
Yeah, he's out of town this week, so I'll let you know when he's well, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for the communication. Yeah.
And what about the other urban design awards, you know, like the big projects?
In regard, I'm not sure. I can get information back to you on that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions for Steve? Anyone else want to beat up on him? Okay. And thank you. And thank you for putting the information in the chat. You know, I haven't mentioned this, but you can, for those of you in the meeting, you can copy the chat. There's 3 dots at the bottom of the chat. And if you click on that, it will give you an option to save. Well, there used to be an option to save. Oh. Yes. At the very bottom, below where you would actually input a chat, if you click on those 3 dots at the top of the list, it'll say save chat. Do that. It saves as a text file, but all of that great information that's in there will come up for you. Okay, neighborhood and committee reports. Lindridge Martin Manor, what's happening?
We held a post, or that was a Valentine's Day event last Sunday. It didn't rain for once in the event life of Lindridge Martin Manor, fairly well attended. Everybody enjoyed themselves. And we held our board meeting last Wednesday, or 2 Wednesdays ago, and Debbie was there, but she was not feeling very well.
I was coughing. Yeah, I was in pretty bad shape that day. But it was an interesting meeting. Thank you for inviting me. Piedmont Heights. Anyone here from Piedmont Heights? I don't think so. Morningside Lenox Park. Anything going on?
I don't think so. Nothing big. All our events are going to start in April, May, so we're good on that front. We were excited about the Tokyo Valentino denial. That's about it.
Yeah, more to come on that, I'm sure. Virginia Highland?
I don't know if there's a representative here, but I can tell you a couple of things that the communications team gave us to share with street captains. Probably the most important is that there's a neighborhood town hall being held next Tuesday, the 27th from 7 to 9 at Virginia Highland Elementary. And everyone is welcome. They'll have an update on everything that's going on in the neighborhood. There's a tree planting on the 24th, this Saturday from 9 to 12 at Orm Park. And a concert in the park on Saturday, March 16th at 7 in John Hell Park. And you will have to look on the website to figure out who it is that's playing at the concert. And then they're selling tickets for the Virginia Highland Annual Gala. They'll be held at Murphy's on April 18th. That's it.
Okay, thanks. April 18th. Okay. Emory, anyone here from Emory Druid Hills? Parks, Trees and Environment, Rich, anything to report?
Yes, we received a couple of inquiries from our neighbors about coyotes in the neighborhood. And I want to bring to every attention the following website, AtlantaCoyoteProject.org. It's the work 20 plus years of research by Professors Mowry of Bury and Professor Wilson of Emory. And they've been tracking and following coyotes in the Atlanta area for more than 20 years. Lots of information on the website. Coyotes are here to stay. They're not going to bother your animals as long as they're over 4. They're a fairly large animal, but if you have a little dog or a little cat, watch out. They're family oriented. This is mating season. They will be delivering their children in a couple months or so, a 63-day gestation period. They're very family oriented. If you hear them howling, they don't go in packs. It's only 1 or 2 of them. But I would advise everybody to go on the AtlantaCoyoteProject.org website to find all about coyotes in the Atlanta area and all on the Eastern Seaboard.
Okay, great. Thank you. Nice update. Communications, Marla, anything you want to report? Did Marla drop off?
No, she's.
No, sorry, I couldn't find the mute. No, but I do want to thank Kay for giving me a lot of grace as I transition, and she's been an angel. So thank you, Kay.
Okay, and Kay, I understand that you finished purging the
I
verified.
did. Yes, yes. So the list is all up to date. Anyone who has not re-verified their residency in the last 12 months should go ahead and do that. And you can find all the information on the website on how to do that.
Yeah, and you will need to be a verified member when Amsterdam Walk comes our way.
Yeah.
Is there a public safety report?
No report.
No report, okay. The APAB report, I missed the February APAB meeting because of a death in the family last Saturday, and I haven't had a chance to review the recording, but this was the first meeting with Sagira Jones from NPU-X as president, so things have changed at APAB, and I don't think I previously announced that I am the vice president of APAB. I will never learn.
I was going to say glutton for punishment.
Yeah, there's only 2 officers, so.
That's better.
A chair report, a couple quick updates. I received a Beltline SAP, Beltline 24003 for renovations of the Forum Fitness Center at Ponce City Market. I sent it to Virginia Highland for their review. We don't usually have any comments for Ponce City Market, and these are interior renovations, so it shouldn't have any impact on us. Next, 9mile.org has reported that a Beltline SAP 24004 has been submitted for 559 Dutch Valley Road. This is a renovation of an existing single-story brick and steel building that previously was a restaurant, and that was one Midtown Kitchen. The location will be converted to a catering kitchen with a to-go window, as well as an event space. Ibiza Catering specializes in services for various events and private parties, including corporate functions. I'm going to try and track down the SAP so that we can get a copy for review, and I'll send that to the Morningside folks for their comment. And then finally, we need a volunteer for co-secretary. Carol has had previously shared the responsibility with another co-secretary. The last 3 months, she's been taking minutes by herself, and we're very grateful that she's able to do that. We also need a vice president. As an added incentive for being vice chair, you get to be invited to attend special citywide events like the annual appreciation dinner, where the mayor and city commissioners are in attendance. It's actually a pretty cool event. So if you like to hobnob with city officials, this is your chance. Free dinner. So far, I
Debbie, the last time I was the vice chair, I ended up in your position. So no, I'm not volunteering.
I promise I won't quit this time. So far, I haven't come up with an incentive for being co-secretary, but I'm working on it. Is there any other business to come before the NPU tonight? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and that was Rich. Okay, we're not even going to take a vote. It is 10:10. Apologies for a long meeting, but I think it was important.
Thank you.
If you're in favor of the motion to adjourn, just hang up. Don't forget you can save the chat, and have a nice weekend. Thank you all. I'll leave the